Inspirasyon sa atin lahat. Pagkat alam kong lahat nito ay nasa kamay ng ating Ama na nasa langit.
Nakakuha ng special diploma ng kursong Social Studies noong taong 1978 sa Oxford University. Matapos ito ay nagpatala siya para sa graduate course na MBA sa Wharton School of Business sa University of Pennsylvania. Dahil sumabak na sa politika at naging vice-gobernador ng Ilocos Norte sa murang edad na 23, hindi na niya natapos ang naturang kurso. Mula noon ay nagtuloy-tuloy na siya sa paglilingkod sa lalawigan ng Ilocos. Naging gobernador at kinatawan sa Kongreso. Taong 2010, nagsimulang sumabak sa national position bilang senador. Mula sa halos 3 dekadang serbisyo publiko, ngayong halalan, tumatakbong Pangulo sa ilalim ng Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Gentlemen, your opening statement will answer the question, what will be your key priority programs if elected president? And how will you realize these in the next 6 years? Next, Senator Bongbong Marcos, 2 minutes.
Maraming salamat sa lahat na nabigyan kami ng pagkakataon upang pag-usapan ang ating mga problema na hinaharap. Sa tagal ng aking pagsiservisyo, ngayon lang po ako nakakita ng ganitong krisis na hinaharap ng ating bansa ngayon. At pagka tinatanong ko sa taong bayan kung ano ang kanilang kauna-unahang pangangailangan, ang laging sagot sa akin ay trabaho, trabaho, trabaho. Kaya't ay dapat natin magdagdag ng trabaho para mabigyan ng mas magandang buhay ang mga naghihingalo ngayon dahil sa pandemya, dahil sa krisis na dala rin ng pandemya. Sa aking palagay, ang mga sektor na ito ay unang-una yung MSMEs, yung Micro, Small, Medium Scale Enterprises. Dahil 95.5% ng ating negosyo ay nasa kategoryang yan, 62% ng employment ng mga employer ay nasa kategoryang yan. Kaya at bukod pa ron, sa pag-aaral ko, nakita ko na sa bawat gastos ng gobyerno, malakas ang balik ng pag-create ng trabaho, dadami ang trabaho. Pangalawa, agrikultura. Kailangan natin patibayin ang agrikultura natin, pagandahin uli natin ang agricultural sector natin. Dahil napabayaan ito na matagal at nakita nung pagdating ng pandemya kung paano tayo naghirap dahil umaasa na lang tayo sa importasyon. Bukod pa ron ay maraming trabaho ulit ang may bibigay kapag tayo ay nag-invest sa agrikultura. Pangatlo, isa sa pinakamabilis sa aking nakikita na industriya na makapagbigay ng trabaho ay ang industriya ng turismo. Ang industriya ng turismo ay madali kasi ibigawin natin ito para sa ating mga kababayan. At sa ilalim nito ay ang ating infrastruktura, kasama na dyan ang digital infrastructure para pagandahin ang ating internet, palawakin
Senator
ang ating
Marcos,
bandwidth,
the time is up na po.
Ang ating internet service.
The first question will come from UP Professor Dr. Clarita Carlos.
Hi, good evening everyone. Thank you so much for the 4 presidential candidates who had both the political commitment and the political courage to be part of this conversation. My area of research and expertise is on foreign policy and defense and security, so my first question will be within the rubric of these issue areas. All right. If the Quad were to become a collective security alliance, you, as our country's chief architect of our foreign policy, are you going to make the Philippines as a member of the Quad? Why and why not?
Senator Marcos?
Yes, I think any of these agreements we should, of course, encourage as long as it is very clear to us what is the advantage to the Philippines. What the professor just mentioned was she spoke about the great powers trying to carve out spheres of influence. I reject that model that I believe no longer applies in the geopolitics of the modern world. The old Cold War thinking. We have to ply our own way. And so it really would depend on what is inside, or what those agreements say, that the Philippines what will be doing and what those other partners of ours will be doing for the Philippines. And once again, because we shouldn't think of the old Cold War system, we should always think in terms of the fine line that the Philippines has to tread in all our foreign policy decisions.
But if Mr. Marcos, if you reject the concept of spheres of influence, does that mean you are going to scuttle the Mutual Defense Treaty when you become President of the Republic?
By no means.
Linked to the United States of America as a defense ally.
No, by no means. The relationship with the United States, our special relationship with the United States, is not something that we can treat, be cavalier about. It is a very important one. And it has stood us in good stead for over 100 years. And that, I think, will never disappear from the Philippine psyche, the idea and the memory of what the United States did for us and fought with us in the last war. And so that is a specific part of our foreign policy. But then, as we approach, we know that we are a hot spot right now. The West Philippine Sea is a hot spot in geopolitics right now. And that is why we still have to find our own line in terms of all of these arrangements. Except the one simple principle is that we will not cede 1 square inch of the Philippines to any country.
Karen, do I have time for one more follow-up with Mr. Marcos?
Yes, Professor Carlos.
Yeah. Okay. If that is the stance that you have taken, Mr. Marcos, suppose you have a situation where China is trying to, take us in, embrace us within its sphere of influence. How would you react as our chief architect of our foreign policy?
Once again, in terms of specifically to China, the correct approach still seems to be one of engagement. And no matter what the superpowers are trying to do, we have to work in the interest of the Philippines, and we cannot allow ourselves to be part of the foreign policy of any other country. And we have to have our own foreign policy. So again, whatever the superpowers do, we as a highly strategic having a highly strategic geographical location in the world, really have to walk that very, very fine line between these great powers who, I always say, these are great powers, we are in between. If they sneeze at the same time, we disappear from the map. And that is something that we always have to keep in mind.
Thank you.
Our next question will be coming from Attorney Rolex Suplico. Attorney, your question, please.
Madamong salamat, Karen. Mayong gabi sa tanan. Issue po ng kahit kaninong administrasyon, ang korupsyon, na tinatansyang may epekto sa mahigit kumulang 20% ng budget ng pamalaan kada taon. Ngayong magkakaroon ng bagong Pangulo, kailangan muling iakyat sa talakayan ang pagnanais na matigil ang pangungurakot, sapagkat ang isang malinis na gobyerno ay nagsisimula sa isang tapat at marangal na Pangulo. Kung kayo po ay magiging Pangulo, una, kusa mo bang ilalabas o hindi sa publiko ang iyong SALN or Statement of Assets, Liabilities and Net Worth? At pangalawa, kusa ka bang magsasagawa ng waiver sa mga provision ng RA 1405 na nagbabawal sa pagpaalam sa publiko ng laman ng inyong mga bank accounts?
This question will be first answered by Senator Bongbong Marcos.
Well, sa issue ng pagbigay o ng salin, para sa akin, hindi problema yon. At hindi lang ako nagsusulat ng salin for the last 6 years. Pero kung ako'y maging mapalad sa darating na halalan, ay natural, ay kailangan gagawa ng salin at ito ibibigay ko sa publiko pag hihingin sa akin. Ngayon, sa aking palagay, yan ang desisyon ko bilang isang individual. Sa aking palagay ay hindi na kailangan palitan ng batas at nasa sa bawat opisyal na yan kung sila ba ay handa na ilabas ang kanilang salin. At siyempre dadagdag ko, kung may kaso na may court order na sasabihin ilabas ang salin, ay kailangan talagang ibigay. Pag na-mandate ng isang korte, maliwanag na talagang ibigay at ipalaman. Sa sarili ko lamang, para maging maliwanag, kapag ako ay susulat muli ng salin, ito ay gagawin kong public information. Sa aking palagay, kung sino ang nasa batas na sinasabing kailangan sumulat ng salin, ay kung nasa sa kanya, kung sila ay maglalabas. Ngayon, ang pamilya ko naman ay siguro hindi dahil pamilya ko kailangan magsulat ng salin at kailangan ilabas. Kaya siguro yung aking sinasabi ay lahat na kung may pamilya man ako na nakaupo, na sumusulat ng salin, ay sa palagay ko handa rin sila na